Warning. This podcast is about the horror genre, specifically horror films. As most horror movies are filled with coarse language, violence, and/or gore, the topics and language of the cast of the pod will also reflect the genre. If you have any issues with the aforementioned warnings, please press stop. But if you have no issue with adult language, movie violence, or the accoutrement that accompanies horror films, please feel free to continue. You have been warned.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the cast of the pod. I'm Josh.
And I'm Deb.
And it's just the two of us today. I know it's been a while since we've done anything, due to the whole pandemic thing going on and all that. And we've still been watching horror movies. We just haven't recorded what we've been talking about. So we are going to talk about today the 2021 horror film, PG-13 horror film, by the way, The Unholy. This was Deb's idea.
Yep.
And why did you want to watch this movie, Deb?
Because of
Jeffery Dean
Morgan. He was in there.
So
I follow him on Facebook, and he'd put a thing, watch my movie, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, hey, that's Sam and Dean's dad.
Oh, so, you weren't like, that's Negan. You're like the Sam and Dean's dad.
Oh, yeah.
From Supernatural.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then I was like, oh. And then I saw the trailer, and I was like, this looks interesting. Like, then it went from I wanted to watch it because it looked interesting and not because of Jeffery Dean Morgan.
Okay. So, like we used to do before on the podcast, we won't get into any spoilers yet. We're just going to talk about the film a little bit. And I don't know how long or short this podcast is going to be. But we haven't talked about how we felt about the movie or anything like that. We just quit watching it probably about, an hour ago?
Yeah.
And if you want to watch this movie, you can watch it on Prime Video. It's like $5. And let's talk about the synopsis online. All right?
Okay.
A hearing impaired girl is visited by the Virgin Mary and can suddenly hear, speak, and heal the sick as people flock to witness her miracles, terrifying events unfold. Are they the work of the Virgin Mary or something much more sinister? So are they saying the Virgin Mary is sinister? Or something much more sinister? Wow. I wonder who wrote that. Directed by Evan Spilolopoulos. I cannot pronounce that.
Spilotopoulos.
Spilotopoulos. Yeah, Spilotopoulos. Yeah. And stars Jeffery Dean Morgan, Cricket Brown, and William Sadler, and Carrie Yules. I know other people pronounce it a different way. I forgot how they pronounce it a different way, but Carrie Yules, from Princess Bride and Saw, and Robin Hood Men in Tights, Crush, everybody's favorite.
Yeah.
So, also William Sadler's death from Bill and Ted.
Yeah.
Death?
When you first said that, I was like, is it him?
What do you mean, death? Yeah, no.
No, I knew who you were talking about, but he looked different. But right now, seeing the picture, and I'm like,
because he had a full head of hair, and he wasn't, like zombie white, and he wasn't carrying a sickle. I would hope he looks a little different then.
No, that's not what I meant.
Oh,
he just looked different. He just looked different, and I was like, are you sure that's him? It doesn't look like him.
Oh, you know what? We haven't put out all the information, like all the social medias and all that.
Oh,
for
yeah.
Instagram, Twitter, and blah, 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 blah. Cast of the Pod, CASTOFTHEPOD. I almost forgot. It's been so long since we podcasted.
I know.
Podcasted it.
So,
but yes, the movie The Unholy got us back on the microphone.
Yep.
The poster is kind of, as you were raised the way that you were raised, and I was raised Catholic. I was an altar server. No, I didn't get diddled. we had a Father Don was a great, priest or whatever, the way that they should be. And So, but anyways, so it's tough. It's hard for me to see the depictions of the Virgin Mary. And yes, say what you want to say about other things and other beliefs and all that, but whatever. But I mean, seeing the poster was tough for me. So it's like, okay, well, this is a horror movie. This is going to strike, some chords. That's what I thought going into it. What about you?
I was kind of, I was kind of like, I didn't know if I wanted to watch it, but I wanted to watch it because it was him.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, I was like, I don't know. But then I saw the trailer, and then I was like, oh, I don't know. It looks interesting, but still, I was still iffy.
We're from South Texas. I have my Catholic background, our Hispanic background also. You know how it's instilled in us and beaten into us.
Yeah.
So all these Catholic themed movies are always tough for me. But so it's. Go ahead, Deb. I hear you want to say something.
No, I was just clearing my throat.
The casting for this movie was great. Every single actor that was in here did their roles perfectly. That's my opinion. Right?
Yes, I agree.
You felt the same way?
Mm-hmm.
Cricket Brown. I don't know if I've ever seen her in anything else before. She was Alice. She's the deaf girl, the hearing impaired girl.
I don't know if I've seen her in Polaroid.
She was in Polaroid 2021. What?
Oh, we haven't seen that one.
Yes, we have. We did one on Cast of the Pod. No wonder she looked familiar. Was she the main one that they give the camera to?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
As we get older, our memory fades.
Yeah. But
and wow, they actually filmed. Maybe it's a different Polaroid. But anyways, so what do you want to say about the movie before we get into the spoiler parts? Do you want to say if you liked it? Are you going to give it a rating of a 1 being the worst, a 0 being the worst, 10 being the best? What do you want to do, Deb?
I want to rate it. I did like it. I'm going to give it a 7.
You gave it a 7?
Yeah.
A 7?
Yeah.
As in like a 70 from a possible 0 to a 70.
Because it's not an F. It's not an F, but it did pass.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, I give it a 7.
What did you like about the movie?
It kept me interested. I thought that there was going to be, well, I can't say that. But
yeah.
I like the story. I like the story of it. But it was usually you're the one who like tells me, oh, this is gonna happen without
right.
even, and I already knew like what was gonna happen. I kind of like figured what was gonna happen.
So you're saying the movie's very predictable?
Yes, I was trying to think of the word.
Okay. See, that's another reason we've got to get back into podcasting because
we're losing our words. We're losing our vocabulary.
Our words be gone. Our vocabulary, our spoken word. Anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, but it was very predictable. Carrie Yule's though, his was like the only character that I wasn't sure of.
It's tough with him.
But I think he's like that with every movie. Like, you never know
if he's
which
gonna be
way he's going.
The good one or the bad one, because he's so awesome at everything he does. I'll say it right now. Elwes or Ewells or whatever. I don't know. I've always said Yules. I'm sorry.
Yeah, me too. But yeah, he was the only one that out of all of this that was unpredictable.
Yes, I agree. I concur. I Steve Kerr.
But yeah, but I did like it. I know the ratings on this was not as good.
It's got some rotten potatoes.
Rotten
potatoes.
Yeah. Rotten potatoes.
It's got rotten tomato scores.
I don't know which one's worse.
Yeah. And I mean, we went into it knowing what the scores were. You were like, I don't pay attention to those and blah, blah, blah.
I don't, because a lot of the times they score it real low, and then I go and watch the movie, and I'm like, I like the movie. And then they score it really high, and I'm like, really? That's not a really good movie, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So that's why I just go with my own opinion.
That's the best thing that everybody should do. Mm-hmm. So let's get into talking about...
what do you rate it?
I rate the movie a 5.
A 5?
50% 5.
So it failed.
It failed for... Well, no, that's only if you're using like school ratings and all that.
Okay.
But I mean, a 5 is so much better than a 0 or
That's
a 1.
true. Yeah.
And I'll tell you why. The graphics were horrible. You know, you have to take into consideration, yeah, it's during the pandemic and they probably didn't have all the graphic houses and they don't want to spend a bunch of money on it because, you know, it's going to be limited release and whatnot. But there's some stuff that comes out on Netflix.
That's a lot better.
And on Amazon Prime that has much better graphics and all that.
Yes.
And if you have a movie that has Jeffrey Dean Morgan in it, Carrie Yules and William Sadler,
it should be up there.
it's at least at a bare minimum the next level up over than what they had. And there's a couple of scenes involving fire that was just like and then there was a premonition scene where the color was like crazy distracting. And I know you have to suspend belief when you're watching a movie, especially a horror film. But I mean, it was distracting. It looked like something that I was learning how to do some kind of coloring or something on years ago. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
So I give it a 5 out of a 10. The casting was great. The acting was great. There wasn't one cheesy actor or anything like that.
Mm-mm.
And the story, like you said, was very predictable from the beginning. And I mean, it wasn't one of these bad movies that are so bad it's good. This was a good. It had a good premise. It had a great cast, but it just kind of for me, it didn't feel like it had any kind of heart to it. Everything was, it was just bad jump scares.
It didn't have enough jump scares, in my opinion. Like, we saw a TV show last night that had me jumping the whole time. And this one, I thought it was going to have more jump scares.
Well, it seemed like every jump scare that they used, they made them specifically so they could put them like in a trailer or in a teaser.
Yeah. Like, I know one of them did make me jump.
Mm-hmm.
And that one was like good, but I kind of figured that was gonna happen, but it still scared me.
Because you wanted to be scared, and that's what we all want when we're watching a horror movie. We want to see something like this. So you gave it a 7. I gave it a 5. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to go into the spoiler part?
Sure.
All right. What's the first thing you want to talk about? Oh, that's an average of 6, by the way. So it's scoring a 6 with us.
A 6 out of 10.
6 out of 10, yeah.
That's still not bad.
Yeah, it's fine. You can get into community college with a 60, but you know, you're not getting into Harvard.
You know what I really did like?
What?
What the entity, Mary?
Yeah.
The way she crawled.
Oh my goodness, that was one of the things that I thought was so super trope. That, I mean, they tried to confuse people having her very statuesque. They tried to make people think that it was the Virgin Mary, and she was standing all in white, beautiful light and all that. And then all of a sudden she's doing the crawl that Alexa Bliss does in the ring, where you step over your shoulder, you know. Yeah. And it seemed very Samara, the Ring type crawl. I think that's the first place we've seen it, right?
Yeah. But that crawl, the way people do it, and it's just the way they move, I don't care if it's a regular person doing it or somebody in character doing it, it's always going to scare me.
Hey, more power to the contortionist that's getting jobs because of that kind of thought pattern of like yours there, Deborah. But for me, it's just cheesy. It's for me.
Like when we went to go see that circus thing, and they had that guy doing that.
The paranormal circus.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was entertaining.
No, but I'm saying that crawl, that exact crawl. I don't care if it's somebody in regular clothes or someone in painted character or anything. It's always that crawl is always gonna scare me.
Okay.
So if you have that crawl in the movie, I'm gonna be freaked out.
It was very, at the beginning of the movie, you see through the eyes of the entity, right? Mm-hmm. And they're nailing a mask onto her face, and they're burning her, and she's hung with a noose around her neck around the tree, and they show all that, and then it cuts to a scene of Jeffery Dean Morgan being this disgruntled, and he was a reporter that you find out he lied about some stuff just so he can get a story. So now he's a disgraced reporter and nobody likes him, and he's barely getting a couple $100 for this story. And he goes out for a cattle mutilation, come to find out that it was a farmer's son writing the Metallica logo on the butt of a cow. And so
and the guy, the farmer didn't even realize it even after he said, "Do you have a son?" He's like, yeah.
He's like, yeah, it's Metallica. I'm like,
he was like, huh?
Because 14-year-olds are listening to Metallica now in 2021.
He was 15.
15-year-olds are jamming out to Lars.
Well, they're wearing their shirts, so they have to.
Yeah, this is true. Pay no attention to our dogs banging on the door because of the thunder outside, and they're freaking out.
Yeah.
But you hear that? I have to hear that at 3:00 in the morning.
And it scares
the shit out of me.
I'm like, go to sleep.
It sounds just like a knock. All right.
Remember the first time he did that? He banged on it like really, really hard, like harder than that.
Yeah. Anyways, so Jeffery Dean Morgan finds this tree right next door to the church, is where the cow was at with the Metallica butt, and
Metallica butt.
He's instantly drawn to it, right?
Yeah.
And
it's like calling him.
There is a ceramic doll, a porcelain doll
with chains
wrapped around it, and it has a date of February 31st, 1845.
Yeah.
Or was it 1645?
1845.
1845. And it's just in this knot in the tree, right? So what does he do? He looks at it and he's like, He tells the farmer, hey, we're going to make a better story. And he smashes the head of the porcelain doll.
It's like, why would you even mess with... If you found a doll with chain around it inside of a tree...
February 31st.
Yeah, that's what it was like, February 31st.
An impossible day.
Yep. And why would you even touch it? For the first thing, why would you touch it? Why would you, I would just be like, oh, hey, I'm going to go and mind my own business somewhere else.
And then?
No, and so when he gets it, I'm like, oh, God. Okay, he broke it. Like, okay, this is what's causing it.
And I mean, and then he goes, he's talking to his phone, driving late one night, and he's driving away from the church, and he reaches over to grab a liquor bottle and then looks up into the street, and there's a girl standing in the middle of the street, which is the hearing impaired person, Alice. And then he takes her back to the church where she's at, which is like a block away.
Yeah, it made it look like he was driving far, right?
Yeah.
But maybe it's because he was leaving the restaurant.
Or something like that. And then, of course, you have the hearing impaired teacher that's teaching her sign language, a doctor that's talking to her. And she's like, oh, well, you're lucky that... there's no police around here right now. Otherwise, we, calling him a drunk and this and that. And it's just, And
it's like,
I know
that part made me mad because they're getting mad at him when when Alice was in the middle of the street. Like, how is it his fault? He didn't hit her.
Ain't no lights. Ain't no sidewalk.
He crashed his car to not hit her, and then he carries her back. He carries her back to the church, and then they're getting mad with him. And I'm like, that makes no sense.
Yeah.
That was one of the things I didn't like about the movie. I was like, okay, I don't know if I'm gonna like this movie or not.
So then everybody starts having hallucinations, seeing this figure behind them. And then it goes from being the statuesque, type where they try to make it look like the Virgin Mary type character. And then it goes back and forth to the spider crawling character that moves like the Ring, that jittery frame rate type thing. And it just becomes that, she starts performing miracles, and the more people believe in her, the stronger that she gets. That's the theory of the whole movie. But that one scene when they go out to the log house with the spinning water wheel and all that, and it was just lit in like an inverted color where blues were yellows and greens were switched and all that. And then you can tell that they filmed it in the day and made everything dark except the house. And they changed the color of the house, and it looked just very, very like middle school editing color right there. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just being a little too picky, but it took you out of the story. It was starting to get real interesting, and then that popped up, and it was like, it looked like it almost seemed like a commercial. You know how you're watching a movie on TV and everything's great, and then cuts to commercial.
Yeah.
That was kind of jarring, that editing right there.
But then it brought you back in.
Yeah, they go back there later on. He's like, I know this site. It's familiar to me.
Well, maybe that's why it was a different color, since it was like, wasn't that the part where it was a dream?
But they don't show it any other time, and it was weird.
But maybe they did it like that because it was a dream.
It was all a dream. Oh, yeah. But yeah, I guess.
So they were trying to make it different because it's a dream, and that way later on when they go back there, it's normal color.
Yeah, I guess. So cut to the end of the movie when I see what you're trying to say. You're trying to defend the film that you like, Deborah. That's okay. We have different opinions. I don't mind, girl.
I'm not trying to defend it. I'm just trying to look at it different ways.
Oh, you're saying that I'm closed-minded.
No. I did not say that. You said that.
So we get to the end of the movie, and William Sadler, who was playing the preacher that was raising Alice, right? He was her uncle, right?
Yeah.
And he commits suicide, and Carrie Yules' character tells Jeffrey Dean Morgan, let's keep this a secret. We don't want in the church, we kind of don't condone this whole suicide thing. And they get to where they name the spot, the tree where these miracles are happening, an official miracle spot, or whatever the Catholic Church deems it, like it's legit. They got their papers now, and they're gonna do like a live stream and a sermon there. And if you say her name 3 times in a mirror,
I knew you were gonna say that.
Well, no, they want the rule was you had to say the prayer 3 times and then commit yourself. That's the dog knocking on the door. Oh my goodness.
That's like perfect for cast of the pod.
Cast of the pod. And so you got to say her name, say the prayer a couple of times, and then commit yourself and all that. And then like she gets all this power, and come to find out that part of her curse is that she lives through her children. And guess what? Alice just happens to be a descendant of hers. Which, I mean, it's a fictional horror for fictional characters. So the disreputable reporter, he's like, we have to find a way for people not to believe, and that way her powers will weaken. So what does he do? He sacrifices his career. He was just getting everything going again, and he comes out in front of all these people, and he says that he made up the story, that it was him. He faked the miracles just to get doubt in people's mind, That way the character, the entity, would lose power. And so people are arguing with him. And then Carrie Yules is like, no, don't listen to this guy.
He doesn't know what he's talking about.
He doesn't know what he's talking about. And then the entity comes out.
Yep.
And he, the character, the entity, lays hands on Carrie Yules and just disintegrates him. Just gone. Just dust. Like very X-Men type power. What'd you think of that?
I did like that. Where he just like touched him and she touched him.
And 3 seconds later, with the same death talk hand, touches Jeffrey Dean Morgan on the wrist. And he's like, ow! Ow!
That's what, yeah. Like, she did the same thing to Carrie Yules and
his hand didn't fall off or his arm disintegrate or something like that.
Yeah.
Right. And it goes to touch him again. For the coup d'etat, I forgot my French. Anyways, to kill him. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And Alice jumps up in the way and she touches Alice in the heart. And Alice doesn't disintegrate or anything like that, but Alice dies. And because Alice was the last living relative of the entity starts dusting and disintegrating Thanos style and is gone. I got quiet so you could add something in there, Deborah. What are you doing?
I was thinking about that part.
Okay, and then?
No, I was thinking maybe he disintegrated. Maybe Carrie Yules disintegrated because he believed.
Sure.
I'm just trying to.
You're trying to make some You're trying to justify it.
Because I didn't think about that until you started saying it.
But Alice didn't disappear. She didn't disintegrate or anything.
But
So here's the thing. Jeffrey Dean Morgan then starts praying to God to give her a chance because she sacrificed herself for him and all that. And she comes back to life, hearing impaired, deaf. And what I was thinking the whole time was she's alive again. That means the entity can live through her again.
Well, no, because she died.
Okay, but she's still related to her. Dying and being resuscitated does not change your gene pool, does not change your DNA, your lineage.
Well, maybe that's a setup for part 2.
More than likely, that's what it is. And I hope that this is not a franchise that continues.
I don't think they will, but maybe they just set it up in case it does good.
Yeah, I mean that's what everything does. That's what happened with the Matrix. They allegedly that story came from the lady, I can't remember her name, that wrote it, and then the Wachowskis or something like that. It was like, oh, this movie did great. It did tons of money. And the Wachowskis were like, oh, we made a trilogy. Yeah. And that's why part 2 and part 3 sucked. In my humble opinion. Because part 1 was amazing, groundbreaking, earth-changing. And 2 and 3 sucked. But yeah, that's, because allegedly they stole the story from the lady that did Cyberdyne and wrote the real Matrix and all that.
And then 2 and 3, they had to come up with their own.
Yeah, I mean, there were cool scenes and it looked great and all that, but they just couldn't match the first one.
But a lot of times the first one's...
Back to the Unholy.
Oh. Well, I was going to say, a bunch of times, most of the time, the first movie is always better.
Agreed.
But
Except for Aliens. Aliens was a good sequel. Well, no. Go ahead.
So I'm thinking maybe they were hoping that people would like this story, so they ended it that way, so that way they can continue it
and make money. I mean, yeah, continue the story and grow the franchise.
Yep.
Now, there's something I noticed on IMDb, and it was something I was thinking about, and I'm like, nobody else is going to be that anal and think that like how I did. But the camera that he's using, very nice Sony camera, right, does not make that sound. Like they were like, whoever did the Foley was like, oh, we need the sound of a camera. Let's put a 1962 camera sound in for the mirrorless brand new.
I don't remember hearing
Yeah, whenever he was taking a picture, it was just like a hard.
Oh.
Yeah, new mirrorless cameras don't make that sound. I just wanted to point that out.
As heard outside the church.
But I mean, the locations were good. The when the cross falls on the bishop or later on, that looked really bad. That looked like they bought some overlay fire graphics from like story blocks. And
you mean the way the fire went to the tree?
No, the fire on the cross, and then it fell on them. Because now, don't take me wrong. If you get the stuff from Storyblocks, they're not a sponsor or anything like that. If you tune it right to your film and I mean to your video, it looks really amazing, good. And they give you different angles and everything like that. But it's like they just took one graphic, one overlay, put it there, and just okay, whatever.
They're like, people are not gonna notice.
No one's gonna notice. But we noticed. I noticed. Yeah.
And then right when he was turning on the match so he can, because they were gonna light the.
And he kept holding the match over his right shoulder.
It's like, why are you holding it? But I think because he had to say a prayer, right?
Yeah.
So
but
maybe
still,
that's why
they were trying to recreate the scene in The Conjuring with the clapping, how the hands come up over her shoulder. That scary scene.
Yeah. That's like a whole nother.
Conjuring 1.
That one.
Yeah, we're not talking about that one right now. But I mean, they tried. I'll give them a couple of points for effort. But yeah, it's, and I don't blame Mr. Jeffrey Dean Morgan or Carrie Yules or Alice or William Sadler. Got to work.
Or any of the actors.
Yeah. But I mean, it wasn't the worst movie ever. It definitely wasn't the worst movie ever.
No, it's not a movie that I would be like, hey, let's watch this movie again.
Yeah, it was better than that damn goat movie. What was that goat movie? The Witch. Movie? That's the one you and KB talked about.
The Witch was so bad that I don't even remember it. Like I can't tell you any parts of the movie.
Yeah.
This one, at least give me a month and it'll still be in my head.
Wow, a month from now?
Yeah, probably, maybe less. But I'm giving it a month.
Okay. Well, that's all I really have for The Unholy, the 2021 film starring Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Based on the classic gothic horror novel by the master genre, the late James Herbert. Oh, wow. I didn't know that. Did you?
Nope.
Ooh.
Based upon the book.
Yeah. Okay.
Interesting.
I mean, everything's based on a book from someone, but I didn't know it was James Herbert. All right, so that's all I got for today, Deb. We are always looking for someone to come out on the cast of the pod. I know we got our friend Matthew returning, and we're going to be talking about Fear Street. It was Fear Street, right?
Yes.
1994, part 1. And that'll be soon here at Cast of the Pod. Look us up on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and other stuff. Cast of the Pod.
Cast of the Pod. You have been warned.
We have to get back to that voice actor. He was great.
He was.
Even though I wonder if when he read the copy, when I put but instead of however, he was like, oh, this guy really wrote but instead of however.
He's like, oh, well.
Hey, but he was a professional. He went by the script. All right, so next time, I'm Josh.
And I'm Deb.
And this has been the Cast of the Pod. Thank you for listening. And yeah.
Bye.